Hey everyone, welcome to the Final Cut. Glad you could join us for our Review-a-palooza, and we have another film that had its world premiere at a Night of Horror International Film Festival. Very fortunate to see Leadbelly, directed by Steven Simmons. Leadbelly gives us the story of Michael, who picks up his two boys, apparently for some summer visitation. He had divorced from his wife, so he picks up the kids. They go along with the dad. Dad's acting a little peculiar, but nothing too strange apparently for him. They pick up supplies along the way, and they get to Dad's house. And that's when things start to take an odd turn. Dad seems to fall more and more into the bottle or into the bottom of a beer can. Marcus, who's the older brother, is trying to protect his younger brother, who also is getting on his nerves, and he's trying to figure out what's going on with Dad and the situation that they're in, trying to make the best of it. The youngest brother, Kyle, seems to be seeing some people, almost a supernatural element that seems to be at the house where they're at with their dad. And as we watch, as this film takes a more surreal turn and this really unusual snowball rolls down the hill and grows more and more into this fevered dream of events that fortunately, thankfully, come to a explained end in a film that really you have to stick with, that's called Leadbelly. And you do. Wasn't sure where this film was going. And I was happy when it did get it there, because it didn't hold your hand along the way, but it does answer your questions. You just got to stick with it, and there are hints along the way. Now, I loved the story because it was an interesting twist on the whole potential haunted house, the dysfunctional family angle. They're showing, the effects of alcoholism on a family, on a relationship between father and sons, which I really liked. And it hit home. Seeing how Michael is treating his kids really frustrated me as a dad, and you're supposed to get frustrated though. And, scratch your head at sometimes as well. Danny James plays Michael complete with old school porn stash and all. This film isn't quite, it's a little bit more old school, as far as, you have phones, which are landlines, which I think helps with the overall feeling of isolationism that these three end up having as their summer moves along, and as we see things pick up and get more and more fevered. But yeah, Danny James really plays this character who you're just going to find despicable. Liam Fole plays Marcus, the older brother. I really enjoyed his performance here. This guy who is torn from, taking care of his younger brother who bugs the shit out of him, trying to figure out what's going on with Dad, and maybe even seeing how he could possibly get out of this situation, and just seeing him butt heads with his dad especially felt real, and then Kyle, played by Bastian Carrasco Bedatemps, and I hope I pronounced that right, it was great. For a young performer, I thought he did really well, and he's the key. If you focus on him and what's happening to him, you may get cued in, but you just have to go along with it, and take in this experience as things get more and more disjointed. We seem to jump around in the timeline a little bit, and especially when we get to them starting to see things around the house. And again, for most of it, I was like, okay, where you're going with this, because there's not a huge amount of runtime, and yet, boom, they hit you, they explain it, you're like, wow, okay, and then you think back on the film and can think of the hints along the way. So really appreciate how they put a nice little twist on this dysfunctional family story in Leadbelly, and leading the audience down a path that is not going to, you're not going to be where you started here. And yeah, that seems to be a trend with a number of these films, really breaking that predictability in a wonderfully entertaining way. So Leadbelly is intense, it is dark, it is is also sharply crafted and a story that you have to experience, especially in a darkened theater. So thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Leadbelly, keep an eye out it by the festivals and go see it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Like, subscribe, bells and whistles and all that here. I appreciate the view, and until next time, remember, keep that ticket stub.